Today we are going to be ranking every single spirit in Spirit Island, and there are so many of them, and we're super excited to do it. We are making an entire tier list for all of these spirits, but keep in mind, it has nothing to do with their power level.
We're talking about how much we love them, how much they're like, not necessarily how well they perform, but how well made we feel they are, like how
well designed.
Their design, like how coherent, how cohesive, how just great does it feel to be this spirit,
as well as the cool factor. The cool factor's got to be involved. And I'll say this game, for its design and for the variety that each of the spirits brings, is brilliant. And each of the different spirits, honestly, are super well designed. We have 6 different tiers that we can put these spirits in. We're gonna be a little bit more harsh, just for the sake of it.
Very harsh, very picky. So subjective, we're just flying by the seat of our pants. And we're gonna put them on there and not think too hard about it.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're gonna dive right in. We're just gonna go straight down the line. We are probably,
Yep. Spread of Rampant Green.
We got Spread of Rampant Green right here. This guy, he's good. He's a good spirit. He's really good. In fact, the Spread of Rampant Green has specifically one ability that is considered one of the best cards in the game, and essentially he starts with his power, he gets to have another spirit place an extra presence, which gives a ton of extra growth. It's a...
Man, Gift of Proliferation. Target spirit adds 1 presence up to 1 range from their presence.
It's so good for so many people.
Man, that supports
everyone.
Anyone.
He's a brilliant person to be on your team, but what do we think about it? Do we love him?
I mean, cool guy.
I think that you said it perfectly.
I did say it perfectly.
I think we should put it in the C tier. Cool.
He's a cool guy. He's got so much green. Like that's his
whole thing.
Because he is Rampant Green.
He is honestly a very, very powerful all-around good spirit. He's got tons of plant energy. He does some damage, some defense. He can prevent Ravagens build with his presence. Super good. But honestly, I'm personally a little underwhelmed. I'm looking for a little more flair in my games, even though it's brilliant and good. That's why I'm thinking
he's just like he's as great as he needs to be, but he's not like mind blowing.
Yeah, he's not mind blowing, but he's so good.
Well, he's a little mind blowing. I'm thinking about this card
potential
with Serpent.
It's very good.
His whole thing is to just get his presence out.
It's very good. It's a very good combo. And Spread of Rampant Green has some great combos he can be with, but I personally, even though I enjoy him completely, we're putting him in C tier because you said cool at one point, so we have to do that.
I mean, he is, and he's cool. He has a cool vibe.
The next spirit is Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares.
Man, okay.
Holy crap.
I have such a place in my heart for Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares. He was the second time that I had a favorite spirit in the game.
What was your first one?
Vital Strength of the Earth.
Oh yeah.
Because first time I'm just figuring this thing out, and so I played a basic spirit, and I like vibed with him. Anyway, I'm getting ahead. I'll tell you more.
We'll talk about that
when we're on him. But I'm just like, I don't know. I'm pretty partial to what feels like secondary or like alternative win conditions. Because like destroying all the invaders you need to destroy is like the win condition that you're supposed to go for.
You're trying to kill everyone.
What you're generally doing. Fear victories are so cool. Okay, literally probably can't save from here, but his offense is just a little bitty line.
Super
He literally cannot be offense, even if he wanted to. Fear is so built into the way he is.
The thing that makes Bringer of Dreams and Nightmare to me brilliant, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say, I think this is our first S tier. Yeah, if you saw my top 3 spirits in Spirit Island, I made that video before I played anyone in Jagged Earth, so it's not necessarily up to date, but if you saw that video, you know I love Bringer, and I talk about why. I'll briefly explain. Instead, anytime he would destroy an invader, it doesn't kill them, and they just get pushed away into their land, which means you scared them, and pushed them away. They like ran away. And you get to do a ton of extra fear for doing it. What that means is every incredible damage ability you have, like for instance, Tsunami, it's all a figment of their imaginations and they're scared to death. And to me, that's brilliant game design. It's fantastic.
Yeah, because it's dreams and nightmares. He's not literally doing these things.
Not at all.
It's just like built into...
It's just so good.
Mechanics and flavor are just having a wonderful get together.
That's the dream with Spirit Island, and that happens. The dream. And that happens pretty often. We're going to be telling you what we think about basically every single one of these spirits, but we want to hear from you. We want to hear which are your favorites, which ones you would put in S tier, which ones you'd put in the doofus tier. So yeah, make sure you comment down below and give this video a like if you enjoy our content, if you enjoy Spirit Island as much as we do. Next is Fractured Days Split the Sky. This is a new one from Jagged Earth. This is one of the very high complexity spirits.
Fractured Days, even after witnessing him in action,
you really don't know what happened.
Is just so awe-inspiring in a way. Yeah. He's just so, like, time control is just such a cool thing.
It's super cool. And I always explain this game being like, this is a game where you can take control of nature spirits. Turns out you're also taking control of the concept of time and various other ridiculous, like dreams and such, various other ridiculous things. Yeah. This guy's crazy. It is mind-boggling. It's a very high complexity spirit, and the decision space is really wild. But some of the things that you can do are ridiculous, and it's like I can't even believe how fantastic it is. I don't know if I would put it in S, because I don't know if it's come together yet fully for me, but it is still brilliant. So I'm thinking A.
Yeah, he definitely at least gets an A.
I could see him becoming an S.
Definitely could be an S. It's just like when I get to know him more, when him and I move beyond acquaintances, I may like see what he's got and see like, oh, definitely an S.
Yeah, for sure.
Right now he's just so beyond. But I mean, kudos for taking such a wild concept as time and making a spirit that really feels like, oh, you're controlling, you're altering the flow of time. It's dealing with the past, the future, speeding up time, slowing down time. All of that is found in him.
It's pretty crazy. I love it. Yep. Grinning Trickster stirs up trouble. This guy's wild. I personally really enjoy him because he feels very different from all the other spirits. He's very much chaotic neutral.
No, he
if you want to put an alignment to it.
'Cause that's the whole his like summary of his flavor on the back. It's like he literally just likes to just do things, poke and prod, and see like, well, what happens. In fact, innate power. Let's see what happens.
It literally flips a card from the top of the deck, and that thing happens, which means there's always a level of unpredictability. But at the same time, he works with Strife mainly, which prevents ravages, which means you can use his abilities to limit the invaders in a really predictable and controllable way. But then you also flip a card randomly, and something crazy happens, and you there's a card called Overenthusiastic Arson, where you destroy a town, but you might blight the land, and so. He's got like a lot of fun randomness, but then some really good, just solid abilities.
Yeah.
As well as the potential for Let's See What Happens is pretty high. And it's it's fantastic.
Because we had a crazy one in our game where like I caused a disease to be on a land, and then something happened because when there was disease in the land.
Oh yeah, it's so good. It's so good. So I don't know what you're thinking. I'm thinking maybe B.
You know what? Yeah, he's cooler than cool.
Oh,
and what's cooler than being cool? Ice cold. Anyway,
he's briny deep.
Yeah, so he's the briny deep.
So the reason why I would say B, even though he's really good and he's really fun, he's not necessarily super evocative, and to me that's a really important part of Spirit Island. This like these really thematic and cool moments. Like for instance. The Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares creating a tsunami.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, I don't know if that's going to happen for Trickster, but Trickster's still a lot of fun, and that's a B tier right there.
Yeah.
So that's that. Unless you have something else to say about him.
I don't know. We got all the cards ready, and we keep not looking at the cards.
I guess we're mostly pretty
familiar. Well, we talked about Arson and
Unexpected Tigers is an S tier card though. That's hilarious.
It's just like you're settling on this island. What's worse than Unexpected Tigers? Not just tigers.
The best thing is that their tigers are coming from downstairs, which usually you want only peaceful things downstairs. All right, the next spirit is Heart of the Wildfire. This one is my personal boy. I love Heart of the Wildfire in a way that I just look at it.
You said you had a heart connection.
I have
with Heart of the Wildfire.
Heart connection with Heart of the Wildfire. Just looking at him makes me happy. And playing him is a ton of fun. He's a very interesting character. He's got some really strong offense. In fact, if you look, full offense. But he also adds Blight to the island. And Blight there's plenty of Blight already. So it's a little bit of a balance and a risk. But it's, I really like him.
I mean, all but one of his starting cards literally deal with damage.
Yep. Which one doesn't? The other one?
Threatening Flames. And it's, you scare the invaders and you push them away.
Yep. I would put him in S just because I love him so much, but that's just me. I don't know if you have that same pure love.
I mean, so far we've been pretty on the same page, and I think like the way he moves and the way he acts is very Wildfire, and he's got that thing that Bringer of Dreams has, which is like the mechanics just so nicely overlap with what he does with like adding Blight to the land and stuff. So I do think we have another S.
I think we have another S. Heck yeah. Also, it does change the game up in a way that makes it feel dramatically different at the same time as being so well designed, so consistent, and thematic. Because being the one who's blading the land, it honestly makes it a lot. It makes it challenging, but it's a lot of fun. Next is Keeper of the Forbidden Wilds.
Okay.
I like this guy a lot, personally. But I don't know. He's a solid spirit to me.
Yeah. At his core concept, he's like pretty cool. Of like he plays really. He's really good at like thinking in like pandemic terms, I guess. He's good at like quarantining lands.
Yeah.
Of like making sure, hey, nobody come in here.
Uh-huh.
And that's him, Keeper of Forbidden Wilds. He literally makes these sacred places where the invaders can't interact.
I think it's really cool. I think that it's really satisfying to be able to clear a land and then just be like, yeah, next time someone tries to go in, it's set, it's fine. Yeah. They're not going to. Plus, his presence tracks, the energy track goes up really quickly and really high to 9 a turn.
Up to 9 energy.
So, to me, I really like him. A lot of people don't like him, but that doesn't really matter. I'm thinking either B or A. Looking at what else is an A, I don't know if it's A. Because putting him up next to like Fractured Days for this guy,
like he feels fine, like Trickster feels fine,
and B again means we really like it. Like yes. I'm always down to
play.
Well,
and I should say I'm like so down to play any spirit, just depending on the day what I feel like doing.
Even so far, C is pretty dang good. Ooh, we got our first basic boy.
Low complexity. Lightning Swift Strike.
So Lightning Swift Strike is really cool. He's probably I might go ahead and say he might be my favorite of the original 4, but I might be wrong. We'll see when we go out to River. Lightning has got a lot of fast powers. He makes other people's powers fast, which is really useful as a team player. One of his cards kind of is not very good. It's a little overpriced. His Raging Storm costs 3. 1 damage to each invader. It can be useful,
man,
but it isn't always useful.
Oh yeah, I mean, great. It's got his elements, of course. Oh, that was dumb. Of course, it has his elements.
It makes it useful.
But 1 damage to each invader is like occasionally useful. just already,
Uh-huh.
and you're paying 3 to do it.
3 is
and
just
it's
a lot.
slow, and so it's like, I don't know.
3 is just a lot. I do think that you can do it well. So Lightning's fairly underwhelming to me, but still really fun. I'm surprised, actually. I played him recently. I had a hard time doing a reclaim cycle well because he actually can't gain a power card unless he reclaims. And he's all about playing a lot of cards. And so I felt like I was running out of cards really often and then just not being able to place the presence that I need.
Odd.
So I feel like he's a little awkward and a little janky, but he's good. And he's really strong too. So I would say I'm looking at C or D.
I think he's our first doofus, to be honest.
Lightning's the doofus. And it really depends.
And listen, it's like when you call your friend a doofus. You still love them.
You still love them. The Jagged Earth expansion adds aspects, which essentially change the rules and the way that a spirit works. They added them for the original 4 spirits. And I say original 4, in the base game of Spirit Island, there's 8 spirits, but there are 4 specifically low complexity intro spirits.
Yeah.
And Jagged Earth adds aspects that change them up a little bit, and that to me adds a lot of. It's very refreshing.
Yeah. It increases their playability so much because if you're, I mean, the expansions literally. There has never been a low complexity spirit since.
There hasn't, and there's no reason for there to be.
And it's like, if you're so into this game that you're getting the expansions, you don't want a low complexity spirit.
Generally, yeah.
For those who have played this game, like dozens and dozens of times, the aspects make the low complexity spirits like
refresh,
kind of revive them.
You're like, oh, cool.
I get to experience this again.
All right, Lure of the Deep Wilderness is maybe my favorite spirit from Jagged Earth.
Oh yeah, why is that?
So the way Lure works is that he essentially deconstructs cities and towns into just explorers and then gathers them into his lands, and he can only ever be in the inlands. So he's working on the inlands and destroying cities and towns really honestly super easily and luring them in and then destroying them in his own in his lands. And so this is called Forsake Society to Chase After Dreams, and so he like lures them in, and then his ability that destroys the explorers is called Never Heard From Again.
Man, I forgot it was called that.
It's so cool. So he's super cool, and personally, I love the way he plays. He feels very similar to Ocean, and if you know me, you know that is a good thing. This is an easy S for me. Let's look at his cards real quick, 'cause I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I think that would be.
Oh, and I definitely don't know. This is what will make the difference between A and S, probably. Because it's so cool. He's decivilizing them.
Yeah,
Is essentially the thing that's happening.
it's so cool.
Swallowed by Wilderness, 1 damage for all the tokens, beast, disease, and stuff. Wilds, and he's making wilds, isn't he? Or am I thinking of?
No, he's not making wilds.
He Forgotten Wilds. Is what I was thinking of.
He uses all of these though.
Man, that's great. Yeah,
So he's great.
Yeah, and all his cards just
Work
show
with
him
things, yeah.
making use of the tokens.
This is a great card. Softly Beckon Ever Inward. It costs 2. It's a slow power that range of 0. Gather 2 explorers, 2 towns, 2 beasts, and 2 Dahan, and you just bring everyone in, and hopefully destroy them all in that land. But it's a super good card. Lure, for me, I would put an S, but I think it's actually just going to be up to you because you haven't played him as much. I would be up to you then.
No, it's I haven't played him as much.
Is there any reservation?
I also have not played him. I've only witnessed him.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm just thinking like, I don't know, best of the best.
Fair enough.
That's what S is.
Fair enough. I think A is
I mean, he's
acceptable.
He's in good company.
Oh yeah,
he is literally with Fractured Days.
Fractured Days, this guy's a legend, and he's an A. So Lure being an A is actually a very high compliment.
Yeah.
All right, up next is Many Minds Move as One. This is a brilliant idea,
man. Yeah.
This is the one that I told people when they like saw the base spirits in the game, and I was like, dude, but Jagged Earth's coming out. Things are crazy in Jagged Earth. There's one that's essentially a hive mind. I think that's a fantastic idea. The way that it works is that you're bringing beasts all around the map and scaring people, and then also defending in those lands. And so you're kind of controlling the whole map with. And the way that they make this feel really cool is that, first of all, you're going to be able to add a lot of beasts in general. But the way that it makes this really cool is that whenever you gather or push beasts, you can move them up to 2 lands instead of just one.
Yeah.
And so one of his abilities gathers some and then pushes some beasts. And so you can literally pull them from 2 away and then push them out 2 away. And so you basically can move them with some interesting maneuvering almost anywhere. Plus, he starts with 5 cards, so he's very interesting.
Yeah, that's that.
Just because it's just cool. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
I really like him. I think he's a lot of fun, and I think that he is a great support spirit. I'm super down.
Yeah. Any spirit that works with beasts is just kind of cool because I feel like they're not like spirits who don't use beasts. Really don't use beasts.
They really don't. Beasts are almost just chilling if you're not going to use them. I'm thinking A for this guy. Maybe B. A's just so high.
Darn. I don't know what would make him not be A.
He just maybe lacks a certain grandiosity.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessary for an A or for an S spirit.
I don't know. That's part of why we put Trickster in B, is that he just didn't feel amazing. He's just like
really solid,
just
really good,
yeah.
super fun, super different. I feel like that's a B tier. That's a Briny Deep tier. Briny Deep is the name of one of the best cards in the game. If you want to know more about Briny Deep, check out our playthrough of Spirit Island.
Yes. Oh, watch that.
I mean, I'm just gonna put it there.
Hey.
No one can convince me otherwise.
Okay.
The Ocean's Hungry Grasp.
Just talk about Ocean.
Ocean's Hungry Grasp is. I played this spirit. It was not one of the first spirits I played, but I played it the first month that I got the game. Literally on Christmas Day. Shout out to the Edmonds family for inviting me over for Christmas when my family was out of town. We played Spirit Island. I tried Ocean for the first time, and it blew my mind. This is one of the prime examples of the way that this game generally will use the mechanics to support the theme, and will use the theme to introduce cool mechanics. The ocean will move its presence from the ocean onto the shore, and then do a bunch of stuff and whatever, and then once they need to reclaim, it gathers them back into the ocean, emulating a tide.
I mean, literally, not to mention the fact that it has presence in the ocean, something
completely new.
No one else can do.
And what that also means is that the way that Ocean works is that he's trying to drown the invaders, and when he does, he can turn them into energy. So he's really good at gaining a lot of energy because he's destroying them. So he's good at energy and fear, which means he's really useful for major powers and such. Plus, anyone can push anyone into the ocean, and then they're drowned. And Ocean changes the game in a completely positive way, and he's brilliant, super fun every time. I think this is an evergreen spirit. Not that
always fun.
Yep.
I mean, they are. When you get playing, they're all fun.
They're all fun.
But man, I think it's been so fun that we've done it multiple times. I think at least twice.
Ocean
and Bringer.
Such a good combo.
Just scaring them into the ocean where they
crazy. It's also great because Ocean already is doing a lot of fear, so
yeah,
it's a fantastic combo.
There was this crazy interaction where I as Bringer got Tsunami, and so I literally I gave them nightmares about tsunamis, and then they're like, uh-oh, we gotta run to the ocean.
What paranoia. That's brilliant. So
it's just they're so out of it that that's what they do.
Ocean is undoubtedly an S tier spirit. The next spirit is River, Surgeon Sunlight. This is another one of the low complexity first 4 spirits. It's very good. I'm not. I think I like River more than Lightning, even though I had originally said it was my favorite of the 4.
Yeah,
I think River.
But do you like River a whole tier more than Lightning?
That's a good question.
That's the big question.
River, I like that River is very focused on pushing, as well as River has a card that lets Is it a her? I don't know. We'll say it. River has a card that lets her add Dahan, which is super cool.
Yeah.
What else do you have? Push up to 3 towns is super good.
Yeah. One damage at fast speed or 2 damage at fast speed if it's coastal.
Yeah, that's great. River's got some fantastic tools.
Just energy gain. Just cool stuff.
I think that River is also River has a Reclaim 1 on their presence track, which is unusual for the basic spirits, and that honestly adds a lot to its capability. I think River is a.
I did call River cool. I will admit.
You said cool. That decides it. Maybe it's actually B. No, I don't think it's a B. Here's the deal. I'm here for the crunchy decisions, the crazy thematic stuff. So the basic low complexity spirits aren't my cup of tea. They just aren't.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Honestly, I'm gonna let you take the reins because I know that this is your guy.
It's quite. Yeah. If you've got a top 3, I've got a top 3 too in no particular order. One of them's Bringer. And one of them's this. Serpent Slumbering Beneath the Island.
Serpent.
He's that whole perfect mix of theme and mechanics.
Oh yeah.
He starts out like very little energy gain, very limited in card plays, very limited in his elements.
Super limited.
He is literally limited on how many presents he could place at first until he literally absorbs the essence
of other people's presents.
Of other spirits.
He kind of sucks for a little bit.
But he's waking and he's absorbing the strength of the other spirits. And then when
to preface, the Serpent Slumbering Beneath the Island is asleep at the beginning.
Yeah.
He's asleep. He's one of the strongest spirits in the world of Spirit Island, but he's literally sleeping, and he's on such a grand scale that the world is happening around him and he doesn't even notice. Also, if you want to know a little more about the lore, some of the spirits consider him to be what is the island. The island grew around the serpent. Apparently Volcano doesn't believe that. That's something that's really fun about the lore. The Volcano's like, no way, that's not what's happening. I don't know what actually is true, but I do know that he's sleeping and he is waking up as the invaders start getting riled up. He's gonna wake. And the way that they emulate this is brilliant.
And just you go through his track, and you get to this certain breaking point where both the tracks meet, and you have to place all the presents before that point. Then you take it off, and then you've kicked it from 0 to 100. You're getting 6 or even 12 energy per turn, 5 card plays, and a Reclaim 1.
And the jump is drastic because you go from 1 energy per turn to 6.
Yeah.
And from 2 to 4 card plays. So it's insane. Serpent's fantastic, but then also, I love that moment where you wake up and all of a sudden you're just dying. Yeah. But also, Serpent has a innate power called Serpent Rouses in Anger, which in general you can do a decent amount of damage for a while, but then once you get 5 moons, 6 fire, and 6 mountain, and you spend 7 energy, you get to do you get to do damage in every land where equal to the number of presence you have in and adjacent to that land. So you just get to destroy the whole island.
And it's just, it's going to be crazy. The first sentence of that power is, in every land in the game.
That's insane, because the game pretty strictly limits
it's,
every ability.
It's very strict about presence and range and how all that works.
It's usually, you do everything in one land with every specific ability, and that's completely fine. You can do a lot of cool stuff and cool combos. But this one starts with, in every land of the game, you're off to the races.
Yeah, and I mean, it's worth noting how, his starting cards are very, very good for support.
Yeah.
Target spirit gains a minor power.
Fantastic.
Target spirit gains 1 energy.
And may play another power.
And they can play another power. Well, Absorb Essence is not.
Absorb Essence is pretty stinky.
Absorb Essence, you gain 3 energy, and you take their presence off the board, but that enables you to put more presence down. And Elemental Aegis.
Oh, that's great.
Has just come through for us so many times.
It's just so clutch.
Defend 2 in target land and all adjacent lands.
That's plenty to guard a couple lands usually every time.
And then for every presence on your Deep Slumber track, defend 1 in target land and all adjacent lands. So it just goes up and up the more presence you absorbed.
Fantastic. That's a great spirit. I'm saying S.
Oh, straight up.
I know you would say S,
yeah.
but I'm saying S too.
Good.
And we're going straight from this fantastic spirit, an S ranked spirit, to Shadows Flicker Like Flames. This guy is
pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah. I think he's my I don't know if he's my least favorite. But he's not my favorite. I like him. In fact, I think his abilities are pretty cool. But he's also maybe the least interesting spirit to play. And his thematics aren't very dramatic, at least. So it kind of feels like a bland thematically and not super interesting.
And he's just he's pretty straightforward to play. He's not that. Yeah, I think we have another doofus, and we're not doing this in any particular order, but like I think he's just safe from
he's very
from you frickin' fricks.
He's very close to your frickin' fricks right now. I will say I played with one of his aspects that came in the Jagged Earth expansion, and it was a lot of fun. He gets to add strife in any land that he places presence. And to me, that was a lot of fun that you could just like go into a land, lock it down because they're strife, so they're not going to hurt you. It feels really, at least a lot more interesting to me than his original abilities. So that helps him. He's still a doofus. And again, I still enjoy playing the doofus spirits, but not as much as everything else. And now we're on to Sharp Fangs Behind the Leaves. I love Sharp Fangs Behind the Leaves.
Man. Another one of the Beastie Boys.
One of the Beastie Boys. I think he's great. I enjoy his. This guy specifically works with beasts, of course, and some of his abilities let you move beasts, do damage with the beast, and then move them again. And the amount of flexibility you have with this, and the amount of damage you could potentially do, is pretty ridiculous and super fun. Specifically paired with Many Minds Move as one, it's a fantastic combo. Of course, there's just tons of beasts on the board, but even without that, I personally really like this guy.
Oh, I'd love to play that sometime. I don't think I have.
We should do it. We should do it right now.
Just good. I'm thinking about sending him straight to B.
I feel fine with B. I'd almost put him in A just because I do really enjoy him. I like that he can pick 2 different growth options. That's a lot of fun. But again, our A tier is kind of locked down.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think
our A tier is fantastic.
I don't think he's like one of the ultimate A's or A's or S's.
If this matters, I'd put him at the top of B tier. It hasn't mattered as of now.
High B.
High B. Next is Forgotten. Nope, that's not what he's called at all.
Shifting Memory of H's.
Can you believe that my mistake? I called him Forgotten. I was the one who was forgotten. Or who forgot something. This guy's super fantastic. I really like him, and he does something completely unique that no other spirit can do. He gets to save elements and use them for later, as well as one of his abilities lets him give those elements to somebody else. Plus, when he gains a major power, he doesn't have to forget another power. So he just has to discard one, which means he's super good at gaining majors because, first of all, he has decent energy gain, but also it's not going to stunt his growth as much, so he can gain a major earlier. And since you can save up your elements, you're going to be able to do those larger thresholds more often. So, also one of his growth options he can do is just gain 9 energy, which means if you wanted to, you can use your turn to play any major power in the game. I think he's super fun. He's not super, like we said on a couple other ones, he's not super evocative.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a bland theme.
I don't know.
But that's okay.
I almost might disagree with that. Ooh. He just, to me, he gives off the like. I'm sure all these spirits are, well, except one, are quite old. Have been on the island a long time.
Is Heart of the Wildfire the one that's not?
No.
Oh.
Coming up.
Ooh. Oh, I know what you're talking about now.
But it's just like, he really gives off to me an ancient spirit.
Yep.
He's very like, he knows how to work with the elements. He can make element markers out of any elements. He does have elements specific to his innate powers, but he can share those with the other spirits he's working with, and so it's like he kind of understands how to be anything.
Yep.
And it's like the fact that you have to forget something with other spirits when you gain a major is like a sign that that spirit is like coming of age and learning and forming itself, deciding like what it needs to be. But he just remains like he knows who he is.
Yeah, I do actually completely agree with that. I think that's brilliant. And the way that it actually is thematically is that this spirit has been around for ages and is just constantly starting over, essentially.
Yeah. Just
out of like desire to learn again.
And so I'd probably put him with the A's.
I think he's an A as well.
It's just, he's not just this flashy, crazy, unfathomable thing like I forgot time is.
Like
Fractured Days.
Fractured Days split the sky. What a crazy name.
Like that's what I'm saying. He's not over the top.
He's way more understated.
He's very grounded and subtle, but that doesn't make his like design less meaningful to me.
I think that's true. And I guess what I said he's not very evocative. I think that he is very evocative, but he's not very dramatic. Yeah. And that's okay. And what's really cool is the way his mechanics work. He really does feel wise. Like you were describing those things. Yeah. Wisdom feels like a part of his nature, which is completely, I think, maybe not completely unique, but like out of all the spirits, most of them I wouldn't call. This is the wisest guy of all of them. Yeah. You wise guy. That's what I said. Wise guy. All right, we're on to.
Oh, this is pretty cool.
Shroud of Silent Mist. Shroud of Silent Mist is so cool,
man. It works. It works. It's mist.
It really works. It's so cool.
It's just okay. So I mean, there are other spirits that have abilities that move their presence, but moving is just so like built into mist.
Yep. The way that they do this specifically for mist is anytime you target a land with a power, you may gather a presence into that land or into an adjacent land. So you just have an insane amount of flexibility where your presence is.
Yeah.
And that's super unique. What makes it extra cool is that the places your presence are matters for a lot of different reasons besides just the fact that you can, for your other powers, because invaders invaders in lands that he's in don't heal when they take damage.
Yeah.
Normally, if you don't kill, for instance, if you do 2 damage to a city when they have 3 health, they don't die, and then they just heal at the end of the round, and you're like, back to square one. But Shroud of Silent Mist can kill the invaders slowly, which is very cool.
Yeah. It's so unique in the way it moves its presence, just in the way it handles presence on the board is unique among all the spirits. And that fact of invaders not healing is also a completely unique thing.
Plus, for up to 5 lands that your invaders that you have invaders damaged in, you get to generate a fear every round for.
Yeah.
So if you could just get 5 fear per round by just like chilling with these guys. I want to try this guy with I'll tell you who whenever we get there because we haven't gotten there yet. I think this might be an A.
I was almost leaning to S.
Ooh. So the reason why I wouldn't put an S is because, and this is where, even though we said we weren't doing this, he honestly is fairly weaker, which means doing well with him is actually a little more challenging than some of the other spirits, which is okay. Actually very exciting. I want to figure out how to do it. But some of the potential that you see when you first learn what the spirit is doesn't happen as quickly.
Yeah. Which
again is okay. But that's why I would put him in A. I don't know if he's quite on that perfect.
Yeah, I'll let him join the A's. He's in good company.
He is in good company. That's some good stuff right there. All right.
Ooh, okay. I talked about Bringer of Dreams and the Serpent, and then here's the third one, quite possibly my favorite. Starlight Seeks Its Form. And you know what? I thought Starlight was cool and like I was into it. And then if you've seen the game on stream,
our playthrough
where I was Starlight, I think that's where it became my favorite spirit.
Heck yeah. Documented for everyone
just
to see.
Just the very premise of like, this is a spirit coming to be, starting from nothing. Mm-hmm. Just the essence of Starlight.
Super
and
cool.
it is forming itself into its own spirit. They even call it a create your own spirit. Mm-hmm. It's got these wild 6 different growth tracks. It's innate abilities for every single element, and so you choose what direction this will take. And at the very best, you may end up firing something off like Cast Down into the Briny Deep.
You may. You may.
And it's a good one. I love it.
I think he's super cool. One thing that's really interesting about him is that you are the amount of facets that you get to decide the way your spirit grows. They give you a lot to do. They let you choose, because every time you take a presence from one of these presence tracks, you unlock new growth abilities. But out of the 2 different options on each row, you have to choose one that you can choose, and then the other one you can never choose again.
Yeah.
And so you're making these commitments all the time. Plus there's elements on his tracks, except instead of being an any element or a specific element, it's a star, and you get to choose the element, but that it's forever.
It's that element forever.
So you have to make these specific
it's just
commitments.
Yeah. You're constantly making it's very committal, and you're just gradually seeking form.
That's true.
It just becomes, over time, it starts to resemble like, oh, this is this kind of spirit. Because I've played Starlight where actually no, I've watched someone play Starlight.
Was it me?
It might have been you, I think.
So yeah, when I played Starlight, the only time I played it actually, early on, I heard someone tell me their strategy for Starlight was to very early get a major power so that you can build for that power, and it worked out really well. And what I ended up doing was, I'm just remembering vaguely, but like somehow caused the invaders to have like a amount of reverence for me.
Yeah.
And so I essentially, and the Dahan. So I essentially became like a sun god.
Yeah.
That was so cool. That was completely new.
You had this certain like fiery, brash, strong presence that the Dahan couldn't help be in awe of.
Yep.
And just as easily, Starlight can take a more like serene, subdued form, which is somewhat what it's done both times I've played it, but besides Cast Down into the Briny Deep.
Dude, speaking of, we gotta put it in the Briny Deep tier, just for that.
Fine.
No, I'm kidding. This is an easy S for me.
For sure.
It's brilliant. It's a lot of fun. I remember at first I wasn't necessarily that interested because it didn't give you that sort of like immediate like leading towards what you want to build for, like every other spirit does usually. Not every, but most other spirits do. But then I played it and I was like, man, this is brilliant.
It's just like, if you've got a great imagination and you're playing Starlight, it just feels so perfect. Because you just get to go completely wild, just as free as you want.
Yep.
Deciding what Starlight has become.
It's great. I kind of want another copy of Starlight.
Man, 2 Starlights in one game? That'd be kind
That'd be kind of
of
awesome.
darn cool.
I mean, I guess you could proxy it pretty easily.
Yeah.
We could try it.
Okay, we'll try it.
All right. Next is Stone's Unyielding Defiance. Yep. So, this is one of maybe 3 or 4 generally focused on defense spirits. And I think it might be my favorite one of all of them. The way that he brings defensiveness to the... First of all, on this presence track, he gains an earth element for every one of them. And his abilities go up to even 7 earth. So he's just like super focused on earth. And the earth cards are generally going to give you defense and such. So he's doing defensive stuff, but also... Whenever Blight is added to one of his lands, it doesn't destroy presence or cascade if he has enough presence in the land. So he's just kind of like looks at Blight and goes, "I'm okay. We'll be fine." And so this is a brilliant spirit for defend. It's the most safe I'll feel playing the game. So I personally really like him. I also really want to try him with like Wildfire, who's adding Blight, because you can.
Yeah.
He's adding Blight, but Unyielding Defiance is like making it extra okay.
Yeah.
Or like for instance, Grinning Trickster with his arson ability.
Yeah.
I personally really like this guy a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I do, and he probably is the most fun of the defensive spirits.
Mm-hmm. I feel like there's at least the most potential.
Yeah, most potential. That's a good way to put it. But he's not that amazing, like interesting, I guess.
That's fair.
He's kind of just.
He's pretty one note.
He's kind of just, you know.
Oh, he also could do damage back to the invaders when they attack.
And it's cool. Let them break themselves against the stone.
Fantastic.
It's like, but you know what I mean. He just doesn't have a certain like, anything to make him stand out besides like, I'm a tough guy and I'm defensive.
Yeah,
But
definitely one note.
Yeah.
I think really cool note. What are you thinking?
I think you said it perfectly.
Did I say cool?
A cool one note.
No. We're putting in cool. We already. If we say cool, we have to put it in cool. I personally would put him in B or A even for me, but that's just because for some reason I just really like him. I don't know why. We're on to the Thunderspeaker. Thunderspeaker is a fan favorite, and there's a lot of people who love Thunderspeaker so much. There's some people who I know or I've heard of who almost only play Thunderspeaker. They work with the Dahan really closely, and one of their abilities lets them do damage for each Dahan deals damage equal to the number of presence in the land, which means you can easily do like upwards of 30 damage in one land, which is crazy. And you start with that ability. So Thunderspeaker is one of the most powerful, hands down, and has got some really cool abilities, really cool thematics, being like one of the spirits closest to the Dahan in like relation. So I think that Thunderspeaker is really cool. I'm thinking, honestly, I don't know what you're thinking. You haven't said anything yet about, because I've just been talking the whole time.
No, that's all right.
You haven't had a chance to.
I do think it's very cool that
Oh man. No, we gotta put Thunderspeaker higher than cool.
We've gotten away with saying cool a few times.
I'm sure we've said cool every time actually.
But Thunderspeaker, in the same way that the beast spirits take advantage of beasts, something that's fairly underutilized by other spirits, well, actually heavily underutilized by other spirits, Dahan are kind of just something that the spirits can be like, oh, I see that there's Dahan there. Like, okay, great. I know what to do. They kind of work around what the Dahan are doing. And Thunderspeaker completely changes that, and it's like you that's what you are. That's what you're doing. Is you are essentially you essentially have so much control over the Dahan on the board, and I think it's just worth mentioning that that's a unique thing specifically to Thunderspeaker, is being so in control of the Dahan.
I completely agree. I think Thunderspeaker is great on all notes. I wouldn't give him an S just because it's just not there for me yet.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking
me too.
I'm thinking A.
A good A, for sure.
Thunderspeaker. Our guy. Our girl. I don't know.
It's I think it's pretty feminine in the picture.
All right, we are on to Vengeance as a Burning Plague.
Man.
Cool guy.
Man.
And honestly, spoiler alert, I might say C would be pretty good for him. Cool guy.
Yeah.
I want to play him more. I've played him maybe twice, and his ability.
I mean,
he works with disease a lot,
yeah.
and that's really cool.
Well, that's what's cool. There's like, with all the tokens that were added to the game, it seems like there's a spirit that's like built around each one.
Mm-hmm.
Like Trickster does a lot of strife.
Yep.
Forgotten Wilds does a lot of wilds.
Yep.
And so
there had to be a disease one.
Yeah, absolutely a disease one. Funny enough, you told me there was a Wildfire spirit. And like I saw this one, and I'm like, oh, there he is. And I'm like, this doesn't feel thematic at all. And then I'm like, because I don't know, I just caught that word burning, and I'm like,
fair enough.
But anyway, that's literally a past misinterpretation I had.
I mean, misinterpretations are enough to give it an F rank. No.
Well, no.
It's really just not the Wildfire spirit I was hoping for. F.
Some reviews are like that.
That's true.
Not what I wanted.
I was expecting the wrong thing, and it didn't deliver on that thing.
But it's kind of cool. I think it is definitely like pretty slick that there's a spirit that represents the role of disease and sickness.
Mm-hmm. And I do like that his ability or his being isn't only about disease. In fact, I believe that the idea of like a spirit of revenge and a spirit of disease were originally two separate ones, and they went, these actually work really well together and create a much more interesting spirit. And I think that I agree with that decision. So in general, I'm fairly underwhelmed by Vengeance as a Burning Plague, but this card changes my mind. Plague Bearers. 1 fear if invaders are present. For each disease, push 2 explorers or towns or Dahan. 1 disease may be pushed with each piece. So you literally move people out of the disease land and bring the disease with them. It's great. It's maybe a little too soon.
Oh, for sure. Sensitive topic.
Sensitive topic, but it's super cool in the context of the game. Yeah. I mean, I just said it.
Yeah, no, I've felt like he's cool the whole time.
He's cool. He's been cool the whole time. And we're on to
Vital Strength of the Earth, my first favorite ever.
Also the first spirit you played, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like. I generally like. Before I knew what this game was all about, I was like, I'm probably gonna enjoy playing the defensive role more than the offensive role. And I still do to that degree, but I love fear, and I love firing off big majors.
Oh yeah. Hold on. Have you played Many Minds Movies 1 yet?
No, I've only seen it.
I think you would really like them because it is defense and fear.
Pretty cool. Yeah, here's the thing. And this is kind of why I wanted Stone's Unyielding Defiance to be just a C, because it's kind of like, I don't know, this low complexity spirit kind of just did it first.
I can see that,
like being the defense rock,
the rock
spirit.
guy. That's fair. That is fair.
And I'm not saying that he's not distinct. I'm not saying the two aren't distinct, but it's kind of like,
is that another rock spirit?
If you were to mix up the names of two spirits, these are probably the two where it would happen.
Dude, what about?
Well, Burning Plague.
I was about to say.
Vital Strength of the Earth, just by himself, kind of a doofus. He gets the job done, and he plays his role as a defensive spirit. But that's like it. He's not.
That's it.
Like,
I'm glad that you're able to say I think he might be a doofus, even though you do have that affection for him and stuff.
oh yeah.
Because I don't like him very much. I also think that I love to look at him. He's so pretty. Also, what is the card called? That's a good card. That card is another S card.
One of his
starting cards.
Hopefully it's not that one because it's gone.
It is that one.
Okay.
Good luck. Oh man. There it is.
Okay.
Yep. A year of perfect stillness. Invaders skip all actions and target land this turn.
Fast.
So
and
great.
that's fast. Man.
Well, it better be
course
fast.
it's fast.
It better be fast. Dude, it's like saying, man, a defensive card that's fast.
But he's pretty cool. I have had I can't remember for the life of me what the card is called, but I had a just fun combo once. Probably the most fun I had with him was so he's got Earth's Vitality, defend 3 in every land where you have a sacred site.
Oh.
And then there's also the card that is
the ward, encompassing ward. Is that what it is?
encompassing ward. Defend 2, target spirit defends 2 in every land where they have presence. So you target yourself. You're doing defend 5 in all of your lands.
All of your sacred sites, which is most of your lands. Yeah, that's super great. I'm actually really curious. I haven't looked closely enough at this. So, in all actuality, Vital Strike of the Earth might be my least favorite of all of them, which is crazy. But also, I need to see these aspects.
Man.
This is well, I don't know. This just makes it even more like this other stone guy. But overall, we can put him at a high doofus tier.
Yeah, high doofus. Purely for just being such a...
He's a good guy.
Such a nice looking guy.
All right, we are on to Volcano.
Looming High. I forgot the G. Volcano
Looming
High.
Looming High. Volcano is I really like Volcano. I think he's really cool. He builds up. He's only ever in the mountains, and he builds up a bunch of presence. He can add, for instance, 2 presence at zero range for one of his growth abilities, and so he grows really tall stacks of presence. And one of his abilities, Explosive Eruption, actually requires that he destroys his presence to use, but it does a ton of damage in neighboring lands, and so he's building up. It's called like the furnace of the earth is growing, and then he erupts and he does tons of big damage. So he's got a really interesting arc. His the movements that that the spirit has is, I think, really really fun. Plus he gets +1. This is cool. He gets +1 range on all of his power cards if he has 3 or more presence in the origin land. And so you're literally essentially have an even more sacred site, and you're just so tall that naturally you have more range.
Yeah.
I just like that a lot.
Yeah, and he's another one of those sweet spots where what he is and the mechanics that represent him are just so good.
Mm-hmm.
Literally only being able to be in mountains.
Makes sense.
Literally, like, destroying his presence, so, like, weakening himself in a way after an eruption. Mm-hmm. Just like a volcano goes dormant for a while after a heavy eruption.
Yeah, that's great.
And his damage is mainly in those mountains and the surrounding lands.
So, in the end, I'm thinking, are we going A?
I feel his theme and mechanics overlap does justify an A.
I'm feeling an A. Let's go. I'm a Volcano fanboy personally. We are down to the final 2 spirits, and these are actually the 2 spirits in the second promo pack. So these are the ones that I got the most recently, which also means I've played them probably the least. So take my opinion on these guys with a grain of salt, as they say.
Yeah, I've literally. Yeah, same. I've played Downpour and I've watched the next one, but that's it. Once. I've played Downpour once.
Have I played Downpour? I think that I maybe haven't. There's no way. Hold on. It is available to me to find this out. I've never played Downpour, guys. I'm
well,
a
then
fraud.
You're a fraud.
I am a fraud.
How did we both think of fraud as the word?
Because that's what I am. There's nothing else to say. I have never played Downpour Drenches the World. In fact,
Downpour versus the world.
Downpour versus the World is an S tier concept. So I know what he does. They're generally just duplicating abilities, right? That's like his whole thing.
Yes, there's a lot of isolating, and there's their ability to turn any land into a wetland.
That's pretty cool. I'm reading the lore about Downpour because I don't think I ever have. Ooh, it is at heart a spirit of unrestrained excess. Downpour drenches the world, so it's like flooding the world with anything it wants to, basically. So it uses a lot of water, of course. It makes any land a wetland if it's a sacred site. I think that Downpour is really cool.
Yeah, you're trying to get a lot of water elements because water elements let you gain your energy or fire off your land targeting cards again.
Yep. And there's some things that let you. Here, I think it's this one. Yep. Target spirit may either gain 2 energy or repeat 1 power card by paying its cost. So even other players can repeat power cards with Downpour on the team, which is a really versatile ability.
Which is great because it does tie in with its a spirit of unrestrained excess.
Mm-hmm. Anyone can be the one giving the excess.
Yeah.
I think that Downpour is cool. I'm thinking maybe B.
Yeah, me too.
Because here's the deal. I've not even played it, and I've seen it played one time, so we don't know much about these guys. If you are a huge fan of Downpour and finder of Paths Unseen, make sure you let us know in the comments, because these are the ones that we're less familiar with. Yeah. We want to hear from you, hear what you have to say about them.
Tell us what is so great about them, because we just don't have the experience.
We just don't have the experience. All right, the last spirit. Finder
of Paths Unseen.
Finder of Paths Unseen. Really crazy idea. This spirit is essentially about interdimensional rifts, I guess.
Yeah.
I really love the summary of powers section where you have your offense and control and for your defense and utility. Control really high compared to any other spirit. It's like ridiculous. And then everything else is low, and offense is negative, which is just so funny. Anytime you destroy any invaders, you have to destroy one of your own presence and lose an energy. So you're incredibly limited for that reason, but what you're not limited in is the amount that you can control the board, and you can move things all the time.
I mean, it is. It's a very control spirit, and I wish I knew more about it because I do love that concept of just like it's like Finder of Paths Unseen might be like, you might take that to mean like secret paths through the forest or like caves, but we're talking about like this just beyond reality like concept.
It's ridiculous, and it's par for the course for Spirit Island. But no, it's actually like a hole-in-one for the course. If you're talking about just crazy concepts, this is about as crazy as it gets. It's ridiculous. One thing that's super cool about this spirit that makes it really stand out is that the presence track is so you can gain them in any order essentially, or like you have to gain them from the start, and then you can move in any order and even go backwards. And so the way that you do the presence tracks is super different every time, and different than any other spirit. So that's something that makes it stand out to me. I played the spirit one time. It's difficult to say the least. It's just wild.
Personally, I think because of course the temptation is to put it in Briny Deep.
I was tempted to do that too
with the Downpour, just for our lack of knowledge. But I feel like maybe on just the novelty of its branching track and the very premise of what it is,
it's really unique and something that like is exciting.
Yeah, and so I might allow it passage into A.
Absolutely, almost perfect. I think that's the place it should go. I completely agree. It's a spirit I want to figure out, and I personally
and just like
don't
like the potential of like how crazy can you go playing this spirit?
Also, you start with 6 cards.
Yeah, what kind of wild stuff can you do?
Yeah, so Fire Plasma Scene is, I think, wild, and I think that there's a lot of potential for the things you can do and accomplish that other spirits never will be able to. Just the ability to move anything from across the map like that, it's gotta be really cool. So that is our entire tier list. No one in the F rank.
It's true.
It's just true.
It was a
and again, if we were to put this all like in context of every like for instance, F rank would be the worst possible spirit.
Just literally not interesting and unfun to play.
And unimaginative and like these would all probably be in B or A or S. So we're
being a little meaner than we would actually be.
And essentially everyone in the C tier I would gladly play and I'm excited to play. Like for instance, Stone's Unyielding Defiance and Burning Plague and even any of them, they're all great. So all that to say, all of the spirits are great.
Yeah.
This was our specific tier list. This was what we generally agreed on almost all of them. So that was nice.
Yeah, it wasn't too hard.
Let us know in the comments below what you think of the tier list, how you would do it. You could make a whole tier list if you want. And yeah, we just want to hear from you.
Yeah.
For you, if you are interested in learning more about Spirit Island, this is a great place to start. This video that we're going to send you to next is going to help you to be better at the game and win more often. Not because winning is what the game is all about, but because the game becomes more and more fun as you understand the game further. So I want to help you with that. So we have a strategy guide for you. So check it out right now.